Today's topic is, do I have to be happy and positive in order to manifest? Do I have to keep myself positive all of the time? Do I have to be in that happy state, that high vibration in order to manifest the things that I want? Absolutely not, you don't. I'm going to talk about happiness and positivity after and how important that is, but you don't have to feel like that. I manifested when I've been thoroughly miserable. Actually, I've been in tears about something completely different and then manifested that thing that I wanted happened during the time that I was miserable and in tears about something else. So you don't, and also just going through life, I manifest when I'm not feeling A1, yeah, for sure. Because the thing is, if you have vibrated that, you've set your intention, you've done whatever you need to do, whatever you feel you need to do, you have felt it, you felt the pure vibration of having that, so you've created it already, you've done that. It's only your attachment that holds it back. It's not being miserable, it's not being negative even. It's really not even being negative. So no, you don't. You can be feeling miserable and manifest. Let's say you're a specific person, you're trying to manifest a text from your specific person, you've been attacked, and then one day you just get exasperated and you cry and you're devastated, you suddenly feel like this is never going to happen. In that point, you could quite easily get contact because you've released. It's only to do with the release. It's not anything to do with being happy. So let's, we've cleared that out of the way now. You don't have to be. In order to manifest separate single things, you don't have to be happy and positive. Where does happy and positive come into it? Because surely that is where you need to be. It's not where you need to be, but it's definitely where you should aim to be if you can. And how do you do that in the easiest possible way with the least amount of resistance? You talk to yourself. It's as simple as talking to yourself. I'm not saying you sit down and start talking to yourself and telling yourself all of these positive stories. That's not what this is about. We think to ourselves all of the time, don't we? We are constantly talking to ourselves, going over things that happened in our head, things that are going on in the news at the moment, for example, complaining that you might do with your mum or your friends, all of that stuff. We engage in negative talk all of the time throughout life because naturally it's just something that we do. This is what you try to stop. Now, this doesn't have to be a huge deal at all. So when you start thinking about something, let's just say with what's going on at the moment, this is a common thing to moan about, isn't it? You moan about lockdown, or maybe you prefer lockdown and you moan about the lockdown not happening soon enough and all of that. You've got your opinion of what's going on. So when you see anything contrary to what you believe and what you feel, you start talking about it with other people that feel the same way as you, and it goes on and it goes on. This is the best thing. This does not get you into a positive frame of mind. This does not get you feeling hopeful. This does not get you in the flow of life. The way to do that is not to engage. I have my opinion about what's going on, and I can't help it. I can't say, don't say you don't have an opinion. You're going to have an opinion about what's going on. I have a very definite opinion and feelings about what's going on here and how it's being handled. And that's as far as I'm going to go, because I know that everybody has different opinions and everybody is passionate about their own opinion and thinks they are right, believes that their way is right. So let's say nobody is right. It's just reality is just flat, okay? And that there isn't a right and there isn't a wrong. So when this happens and somebody starts talking to you, it's very difficult to say, oh, I'm not talking about that because I'm trying to stay positive. I don't really suggest that you do that, because then you'll just piss people off. I wouldn't suggest that you do that, but you don't have to engage too much, and you can kind of put up a barrier in your mind, so where you're listening to it but you're not taking it in so much, you're just letting it happen, letting them talk, and then you could come in with something positive. Which is exactly what I did with a friend of mine who works for herself. I work for myself, but I don't have any issues with lockdown. I still carry on writing. People still buy my books. People still buy my articles. People still have their SEO subscriptions. I don't have an issue. Neither does my husband. Neither does Harry, really. We're very, very lucky, and I appreciate that. And I'm grateful for that every single day. But she isn't that way because she is a mobile beautician. So, you can't go into people's homes for the next month. You can't be doing what she does. So she's low about it. She's really low. And so she started talking about how, bad it is, and how basically, so I was trying to come back. First of all, I went to say, oh yeah, I know. And I went to agree with her. because I did agree with her opinions, but I thought that's not going to help her and it's not going to help me. So with what I do, I went back with some positives. Yeah, I really get where you're coming from, and it's a real bummer. She will get some sort of financial support, I'm sure, I hope. But I came back with things are getting better. I know it seems like they're not, but they are. I think this is the start of the end, and I do thoroughly believe that this is the start of the end of this, because treatments are getting better. It is plateauing now. The figures are really high, but it is still plateauing. So we're told. So I heard. You know, and vaccines are coming out. All kinds of things are happening, whether or not you're opposed to a vaccine or not, and you don't like the idea of that. They will be coming out, they will be given to the vulnerable, they will be given to health workers. You know, I came up with as many positive things as I could for her. Now that might have irritated her, I don't know. If it did, then she didn't tell me, but it made me feel better because I didn't engage in that negative talk. And so she came back with a few more, and each time I came back with a positive fact, because I only give facts. If I read something and I know that it's a scientific fact, or I've heard it from a professional, and you know, I will give a fact. And I hope that I made her feel better at the end of that conversation. I hope I gave her some hope. Okay, she's still fed up at the moment, but if it gives some hope for the future, because this is what we want, is hope for the future. So self-talk is purely to make life flow better, and it does, because what will happen is when you start engaging in mostly positive talk, or mostly the better option, the better case scenario, then life starts unfolding in front of you better, because you're vibrating at a different rate. You're vibrating higher, whether you know it or not. You are vibrating a certain frequency with those thoughts, and that's, so you start, all of these little things will start happening. You think, oh wow, where did that come from? And cool things will start happening. It might be little things, but there could be big things too, and everything flows better when you talk to yourself in a better way. So let's say, for example, your ex, and you know, they'll pop into your mind and you'll think, oh gosh, I wish they weren't so stubborn. I wish that they reached out first, you know, all of that stuff. There's no point in engaging in that. If you engage in that, you just wind yourself up even more, and your vibration is then in line with those thoughts. So you could start saying things like, oh, I remember that time when we did this or we did that. That was really great. We had a great time then. And just pick out some good memories to talk to yourself about, or don't engage too much in that negative stuff. And it is a bit of a practice, and when you start doing it, with me, when I started doing it, I enjoyed it right away. I did, because I was in a reasonably good place anyway, and I just enjoyed the feeling that it gave me, and I could feel the shift in me as a person doing that. So, and you know, moaning does not make you feel good. It kind of does, because you get stuff off your chest, but then you're left with that vibration, that sort of negative vibe really, and then you start sort of seeing other things in your life that will that are sort of reflecting back that vibration. And also, you know, you can talk positively about a situation. So say, let's try and find the positive in this situation at the moment, or any situation. If you dig deep enough, you can find a positive, and then what you want to do is focus more on that than the negative. But what you're not doing is doing it in order to manifest a certain thing. You're just doing it to change your perspective, to change your subconscious in general, and to change your overall sort of outlook, and it makes you feel better. And this is all about making you feel better. And when you feel better, all of those things manifest way more naturally. You don't have to try so hard, because you are feeling in a better state. Your vibration is higher in general anyway. So then those things come to you much more naturally without you having to try and force it. So I would say, see this, and I see this as a way of life. My way of life is living in the best possible way, being as happy as I can, the majority, you know, for as much as I can. And I'm a normal human being. You know, things do get to me sometimes, but generally I don't let them stay with me. I generally push through. Sometimes I don't, but majority of the time I do, to get to a better place, because I don't want to feel rubbish. So it's all about us and how we feel in general, how our overall feeling state is. So I also don't generally, if I want something in my life, I just feel that I have it for a bit, and then I let it go, and then I carry on with this positive self-talk, this pulling myself up if I feel like I'm going down that rabbit hole, and all of that. That's my way of life. My way of life is not trying to manifest thing after thing after thing, because I kind of know that in my subconsciously, I know that those things will come to me at some point because I've already created them by intending them, and I don't put too much focus on anything really. And I don't always have a huge amount of emotion with things either, but I still get them. Because I'm just in that, you know, I vibrate at a different level than I did, say, 5 years ago when I started this. I just do, and things happen quicker, things happen better, more on point now than they used to happen, and it's because of my overall feeling state, the way I go through life. And yes, it is hard work when you start, it is, and sometimes you forget and you'll get stuck in that conversation in your head, and then you'll realise, but then just pull yourself up when you realise, and it is a practice, it is. But we talk to ourselves, we chatter to ourselves all of the day, and I bet you at least half of that is probably negative. So if we can cut that down, let's say we just have 1/10 negative conversation, and I'm still going to do it every so often, and I'm going to be having a conversation with my mum who feels really passionately about what's going on, and she's older and she would just rather have quality of life than quantity of life. That's her opinion, so I hear about that a lot. And that's fine, we have that conversation, but part of me is engaged and part of me isn't. So, you know, so if you're 1/10 that, and then 9/10 not, 9/10 talking to yourself as positively as you can, just putting a positive swing on everything. You don't have to believe it, that's the thing. You don't have to believe what you're saying, it's all about the vibration that it causes, and eventually you will feel that you feel that way. That's how this works. So you do not have to be happy and positive to manifest your X-Fac, to manifest a new job, a new car, a new phone. I'm just listing all of the things. You know, you don't have to. You can manifest separate things when you're feeling miserable, absolutely no problem. But in order to make things come more naturally to you without that effort and just life to flow better, it's just more beneficial to you to try to find the positive in absolutely everything. Sometimes you can't, and you know, the example of my dad dying, I could not find a positive in that, nor did I want to try and find a positive in that, because, you know, why would I want to find a positive in my lovely dad dying? Sometimes you can't, but you just accept that that's happened. There's nothing that you can do about it. And being like this, being more positive in general, will eventually have a knock-on effect to your subconscious, and it will be more natural. So when something like that happens, you will deal with it better. That's the best I can say for those things, because bad things still happen. You know, when I've said before in my members area, when that happened to my dad died, I was in a really good place, vibrating really high, really, you know, enjoying life, loads of stuff was happening. Then my dad died, you know, so there's no explanation that I have for that. I couldn't find the positive in that, but I handled it so much better than I would have done. I don't know how I would have handled that a few years ago, not well at all, and I still wouldn't be handling it well now, but now I do. So it's all about you and your feelings and just making life easier on you. And yes, this is some work at first, but when you get into the habit of it, you will do it much more naturally, and you'll find that you just don't gravitate towards those negative feelings and thoughts, and life will be easier. But don't expect it to be an overnight thing. This is a practice, and this is changing the way that you live your life. So that's not an overnight thing, is it? Maybe it is for some, but it wasn't for me, for sure it wasn't for me. But it is a better way, I have found, a better way of living, because why talk to yourself negatively when you can talk to yourself positively? Raise that vibration. Yes, sure, at first you'll feel like, oh, this isn't me, but eventually it will be you, and it will be naturally you, and you will find that you look for the positive in everything. Things unfold in front of you, things turn up in your life that if you've wanted a couple of years ago, that all of a sudden will appear in your life, and you'll think, wow, and it'll all be because of this, because of you raising your vibration, and life just flows better. End of conversation. Thank you so much. I may be putting out a few videos this week if I can. Well, I can because I'm around. And I've got a few different subjects to cover that have been given to me from my members, which is brilliant. So if you don't know anything about my membership, then pop along to my website. It's £5 a month, tons of modules in the members area, and you also get one-to-one email coaching from me. What else can I say? I write books. My books are on my website. I must get my latest one on there as well. It's not at the moment, but you can buy them on Amazon, and they are listed below. And my son's channel is Harrison Ellis, and he's growing at a rate of knots now, actually. His is a lot of specific person stuff. He's 19, almost 20 actually, and he's growing a bit of a following now, so he'll give you lots of different techniques and stuff, because he loves a good technique.